before we started the podcast, you were telling me this story about, you decided to take public transport today.
Well, it was actually last night. So I was coming home from a session of something, and a man. I don't
Session of something. Imaginations are now running wild. Now you're just dangling the carrot, like
a little pork souvlaki out here. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway,
I got on the metro, and a man got on, and I literally looked at him, and I had to look away immediately. I felt like I was going to get burned. He was so beautiful. And and so then I looked again, and then I felt the exact same feeling. It was as if I was looking at a god, and it's human form. And there are beautiful, beautiful men. When the genes hit here, the genes hit. But damn, it was like
a lightning strike from Zeus himself.
It was. I mean, Apollo's chariot is apparently the Athens metro.
Did he return glance? Like what?
No, I did not exist. I don't think anybody else existed on that metro. I mean, this guy was floating through the world.
As someone who looks like that does, right? Like they're just kind of oblivious to common people like us. Like just nothing. Yeah.
Bless him.
There's nothing we can do to sort of penetrate the bubble there as much as we'd like to.
As much as we'd like to. Wow, what a way to begin.
This would be a great time to say welcome to Bear Fur and Sparkles, Season 1 of many, we hope. Episode 1. Hello, I am your host, Fernando Ventresca, along with...
Jason Hanasick.
How are you today, Jason Hanasick?
I'm good. I'm pumped.
You're pumped?
Yeah, I mean, it's early February. The sun is out like it is the middle of July. It's streaming into my bedroom where I'm recording because the other rooms are too live. It's a good day.
I am so jealous of you because it has literally been raining an entire month here in Lisbon, where I am. You're in Athens, Greece, just for everybody, just tuning in. And here we've had like one named storm after another. So we've had... Joseph was one of them. Ingrid was the first one. Then we had Kristen. That bitch came in and ripped the shit out of this place. Let me tell you, like the Central Coast around here, blowing roofs off. People, but here's how beautiful like the Portuguese people are. I have to tell you, obviously, there's a little town called Leiria, which is sort of in between Lisbon and Porto, in the north, which is the second largest city, and I was watching the news, and everyone is obviously very upset about this storm damage. But then they cut to like these images of people literally walking into the village with brooms, or like grandmas with like buckets and rags and like.
She ready to make it okay.
Like, this is going to be great. Like, we're just going to come in here and just scrub it all down and sweep it all up and make everything okay again. And I'm just like, this place is a beautiful. I am just so happy I'm here. These people are amazing. But yes, we had a little bit of sunshine today. I felt so good. I felt so good that I actually made an Instagram story today. I'm in a good mood if I'm like, hey, I think I'll check in on Instagram. Here's what's going on with me, everybody. Hi. Heated Rivalry has finally come to Portugal. It's
okay.
I mean, this thing came out when? Like maybe last month or?
No, it came out in December in the States,
okay,
or at least or maybe late November. It finished in December.
Let me tell you, we're finally getting it, and we're on episode 2. They're only doing an episode a week here. So, watch the first episode, and I don't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't expecting as much gay sex as I got. And that was fine. I mean, the men are very pretty, especially the Russian character. I mean, he's on fire, like totally hot. And of course, they keep alluding to like how large his penis is and all this type of stuff. So my first thought is like, this is basically a television show based on a late night cable movie that they used to show back in the day, like soft porn that would come on after 11 o'clock. And that's why I'm just like, why is this show so popular? This is essentially a soft porn television show, except it's gay men. It's blowing my mind, like how popular these guys are, because like I literally just saw them unless this was like a deep fake AI thing, they were literally running the Olympic torch into Milan.
It was real.
There's two soft porn actors who are running the Olympics.
Okay, Fernando, I got to stop you because
the Olympics. This is great. This is an amazing moment for sex work. This is.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, wow. Holy this is awesome.
I want to let you do a little bit more research on how these gentlemen as actors before you come back and call them softcore porn actors.
The Russian character, whoever he is, I know he's got a few more things under his belt, and he looked a little bit more like, he's got good experience. Like he's legit. This other guy, the Canadian character, like I'm sure that he did not think that this would be the show that would break him, right? Like not break him in a bad way, but like,
well, I mean, it probably broke him if it was that big.
Well, God knows, I mean, it looks pretty realistic, some of it. Although I'm telling you, I maybe, the actual like sex scenes are probably like the real work for this show because quite frankly, like the scripts are not very dense. Like I think in episode 2, the Canadian character, he basically said 3 things. He said, fuck off, and fuck you. And then the rest of the episode was literally like 95% texting back and forth. Not even texting, sexting, which he isn't very good at, by the way.
Fernando, I love it. You got notes. You're like coming in so hot with the notes. I'm waiting. I'm just gonna wait. I'm gonna wait. And you need to check back in on this because as you unfurl, I can't wait because I'm gonna hear some tears. I know it. I know.
Okay.
It.
All right. Okay. Listen, I'm not.
It's not just going to be perfect asses over and over and over again.
Yeah, and like quite frankly, I'm not watching it for that. And I think that these are 2 unbelievably beautiful men. But if you want to see 2 unbelievably gorgeous, gay, beautiful men, I mean, literally just search for it on Google. Like it's
open Instagram.
Yeah. I even looked at Jeremy last night. I'm like, listen, there needs to be more story, and I can't believe I'm saying this.
Who are you? I don't know this person.
But there needs to be more story because if I just want to watch 2 beautiful men have sex, then I can find that. Like, right now.
It will come.
Okay, good. And that's why I'm thinking, okay, that must be the real reason because at some point, if I'm just patient and let the story unfold, then I'm going to be very well satisfied.
You would be satisfied.
Take my clothes off.
Just like he is over and over and over again.
So as you can see, even though both of us have moved to completely new countries, we still do a lot of the same things that we used to do back when we used to live in the United States. It's, so what are you watching? I mean, you've already watched He Did Rivalry.
I am watching the OA.
The hell is the OA? Is that science fiction?
It's sort of, it's science fiction. It came out in 2019, 2020. It's a Netflix series that was very abruptly canceled. So they never got to finish the show. And a friend of mine here said, was like, you're going to love it. You're going to love it. And I became quickly obsessed. And so I'm like on the 2nd episode of the 2nd season, which is the final season of it. The 2nd season is set in San Francisco and parts of it are set in my old neighborhood. I remember when they were filming in my neighborhood. So it's very fun to time travel back at that time period. And yeah, it's
all right.
It's a trip. Yeah. So that's what I'm watching right now.
Well, since you bring up time travel, let's get into, we're considering this sort of our introduction episode of the podcast and of Bear Fur and Sparkles, which this is really about 2 gay men who have left the United States. Now we're living in 2 different places in Southern Europe, and all of the hilarity and crazy experiences, culture shock, and anything else that comes along with making a move like this.
And in the middle of our lives.
In the middle of our lives. Exactly. I am, I'm going to say well into my 50s. You're a bit younger.
I'm into my 40s.
I'm curious, like, how did you wind up in Athens?
I came for a document, and I remember walking around and having a series of experiences that I could only describe as the ineffable. I was in total and complete wonder. I was here with my boyfriend at the time. He was obviously not on the same wavelength. He was not feeling the city the same way. He was enjoying himself, but it just was not the same. And I point this out because I actually still can't describe and pinpoint this is the reason why. It is just a feeling in my body of coming home, even with all of the frustrations that were happening then. And what has continued, it still is a feeling of coming home inside of myself. And that's why I'm here. What about you?
I would say it's very similar. Like a lot of people ask me, like, what do you like about Portugal? What do you like about Lisbon? And, it used to overwhelm me when someone would ask me that question, because I honestly just can't pick one particular thing, because it was the same thing when I moved to San Francisco. Just this sort of feeling of like, I just feel like this is where I'm meant to be right now, right? I don't think that happens regularly. And I feel like, it's happened to me 3 times now. I felt that way when I moved to San Francisco. I felt that way when I moved back to Philadelphia for a short amount of time to take care of my father. I felt like the universe is telling me this is exactly where I need to be right now. And then when we first started visiting Lisbon and then eventually, made our way here permanently, it didn't really take very long for me to have that feeling of like, this is where I need to be. When you're in a particular location and this location makes you feel this way, kind of like takes over you and makes you feel comfortable, just gives you a lot of motivation to just try new things, go new places, meet new people, and just do things that you probably wouldn't do in your previous, location. I know for me, in San Francisco, when we lived in California, I always felt like, what, I have enough friends. I don't need to go out of my way to make any new friends and bring more people into my circle. I'm good. In fact, if anything, I could probably shove a few people out the circle and I would be just fine. But here, I'm constantly going, as I like to say, I just go to coffee with strangers. Like literally anybody could hit me up and say, I'm going to be in Lisbon. Do you want to go get a coffee? And I'd be like, sure, I'll be there at 3.
What's that about? What's changed there for you?
I think it's a couple of things. I think that when you do wind up in a brand new city, especially one where, you don't speak the native language, although, English is widely spoken here, you recognize pretty quickly that you need to create your support system. You need to create your new group of friends, your new circle of friends. And the only way that you're going to do that is if you just break down some walls and start getting rid of some bad habits from before that made you maybe, be sort of a ghoster or kind of flaky or, constantly.
Excuse me? Are you calling me out?
There was a joke from my previous morning show. Like there was sort of this running joke that anytime I would say, I'll be there, I wasn't going to be there. And I came by that joke honestly, and I totally own it. But now when I say I'll be there, God damn it, I'm going to be there. And I've made amazing friends. I love the circle of friends that we have here simply because I made the effort to meet these people and, and begin the process of becoming friends. And then there's others that you're like, hey, I met somebody for coffee. We're probably not going to hang out. We're not going to be besties. But you know what? It was a lovely way to spend an hour or two having a coffee and hearing somebody's story and exchanging some stories back and forth.
I think you meet yourself in this situation in a whole different way. I remember being terrified to get on the plane to actually come here. Like I had signed on the apartment. I had seen, I had seen the apartment. I signed on it, and then I had to go back to California to film some more for a film that I'm making and wrap everything up and, pack my things. And I said to my friends multiple times, I was like, I have this feeling that something's going to happen to the plane. Like I just have this insane feeling that it's going to go down. I'm not going to make it. And once I got here, I realized that premonition, that feeling was because I couldn't imagine what was going to happen next. I knew I was going to move there, but all the structures that I had created in my life, I had basically said, cool, I'm moving to this place that I know 2 people. Like, well, but other than that, I don't have any structures. I don't know what happens when I get sick. I mean, obviously you go to a doctor, but like, I don't have the doctor, right? All these things. So it was this opaque idea in my imagination, and also all of these expectations all at the same time. They were coinciding. And it was a wild, wild experience. And then when I got here, realizing that, I said, oh, great, I'm going to take this opportunity and reimagine everything. How do I show up? Who do I want in my life? What are the behaviors that I'm looking for? What are the things that I no longer want to perpetuate or cycle through because it's the things that I've always done? There are things that I was terrified of doing back in the States for a variety of reasons. And I was like, I'm doing it. I don't care. What do I have to lose?
Yeah. Change of location will do that, right? Like basically change of location means like change of who you are, because now here you are in a place where barely anybody knows you, right? Like you have a zero identity upon arrival. Like in California, I was a bit of a local celebrity. People would see me places and stop me and want to take a picture or say hello or tell me they were listening this morning or something like that, right? So, and I know for me that that always sort of was, in the back of my mind is like, hey, I need to watch what I'm doing, watch what I'm saying, be careful how I treat people, just it kept me in line because, because you just never know when somebody might recognize you and be like, oh, yeah, I listened to that guy. Boy, I can't believe he's such a dick. Like I was always very now I can be a dick freely.
I was right there.
Fuck you too. Like who cares? No. Again, like nobody cares. Like nobody knows me except the people that I've already met, and they're not judging me by anything that they knew about my past or where I'm from or what I did or any of that. And anybody I know here is only judging me based on the interactions that we've had since I've arrived and since we've met. So in that way, it's really refreshing, and it really does sort of mentally kind of tip you off that like it's totally okay to start toying with a reinvention, like completely trying things that maybe before didn't seem appealing to you, or maybe you were just scared to do it. And now you're like, you know what? There's no fear. Let's just do it. So what if it doesn't work out? Then I just move on to the next thing that I'm interested.
Yep.
There's nothing attached to it other than just trying it.
I want to return back to something you said earlier, because I would love to hear some more about it. And I really see these things in my life as well. Can you talk some more about these 3 times in which you knew you had that feeling of home? Because I know my 3, right? I have family on Long Island, and so my parents every once in a while would send me and my sister to Long Island to stay with the family. And when we got old enough, I think I was like 16. They let me and my sister take the Long Island Railroad into New York City, and I had an idea about where the West Village was. And so I went to the West Village with my sister, and I saw a guy. I mean, this is circa probably 1995.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being somewhere around Christopher Street and seeing a guy in short shorts, legs for days, on a pair of rollerblades. And I literally said, my sister's name, Jennifer, and I said, Jen, I will catch up with you in a second. And I just ran after that man. I felt like he had information that I needed to know. And of course, now I wear the short shorts, and it really...
I wonder if that man knew how much of an inspiration, of how much of a role model he was that on that particular day.
That button, those legs, let me tell you. But I felt like I had to get to New York City. I was like, there are things in New York City that I need to know about that I'm not finding in Virginia, where I grew up, right? And so I went to undergrad in New York. I was like, this is where I need to be. And then I remember feeling something similar when I flew into Oakland International Airport to check out the school that I ended up doing my master's at. I felt the same way. I couldn't explain it. I was like, oh, there's something here that I need to know. And I don't even need to see the school. I'm going to accept this offer and I'm going to come to the school.
Right.
And the third was when I flew into Athens for the first time in 2017. even before we saw the city, even before I saw the Acropolis, when I saw the mountains, I mean, and the terrain, I was like, I'm going to live here. I'm going to live here one day. I knew that in my soul. Tell me about yours.
Well, no, I'm still just kind of soaking in what you're saying. But yeah, I mean, I would say that like we're a little bit similar. Like I think that, you know, how you felt about needing to be in New York City, but also at the same time when you flew into Oakland, I feel like you had kind of two spots where there was something that these locations were sort of offering you or showing you that you wanted to know more about. San Francisco was definitely that for me because, you know, when I came to San Francisco, I was moving from Texas and I lived in Austin, which, you know, if you know Austin, it's always been a, you know, this little progressive sort of desert in the middle of conservative hell in Texas. So coming from Texas at that time, since I'm not originally from there, but living there for quite a few years, you know, and coming to San Francisco where, you know, again, the longer you stay there, the longer you realize is like, you know, gay people, LGBT plus people are a part of the fabric of that place, of that city, right? Like we are a group that is just as significant as any other living in that city. And the visibility is very high. And that is what I was responding to when I first moved there in the 90s was just that, oh my God, like I totally don't feel alone here. I felt so much more freedom and safety. San Francisco also taught me that you don't have to look one specific or particular way to be happy, to be attractive, to be like San Francisco taught me that there truly is a lid for every pot, which is not something I was learning in Austin. It's not something I'd learned anywhere else from before. If you find men with warts on their foreheads and noses attractive, then you know what? You're going to meet a group of men that
I let go of my shaver and I let go of my nair the moment I moved to San Francisco. Thank God.
Exactly. I hate to say it, but I recently went to get waxed about 3-4 months ago.
Okay.
I forgot. Like my back has this horrible reaction to wax. And literally like it just breaks out. It's the most disgusting, gross thing I've ever, like, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I did this to myself. But now I'm just like, I've got to like tap into my San Francisco-ness because like it really
Fernando,
does not matter there.
You need to come to Greece. It is Hirsute Fantasia. We got you, boo.
Well, yeah, I mean, Greece is, you know, definitely known for very hirsute, furry men. You know, and Portugal, not so much. Like, you know, it's not. But at the same time, that's another thing that you do notice. Bodies are more natural here, right? There are fewer guys who are like, you know, going to extremes to try to build their bodies and create these, you know, these visions of perfection, right? A lot of these men are just like naturally beautiful. And again, there's not a ton of muscle tone. There's not a ton of grooming or processing, as I like to say, going on. They're like, this is what I have to offer. If you like it, fantastic. If you don't, you don't. What do you want me to do? But I want to go back a little bit to the topic of, you know, why we're here, why I'm in Lisbon, why you are in Athens. And, you know, I think clearly, like once we arrived or once we even first visited, like we just kind of had that feeling that just initial, like, I'm curious though, even before you set foot in Athens though, did you already have some sort of feeling like, oh, this could be the place? Was there something about it just from what you already knew in your head that just seemed so appealing or convinced you that, you know what, I need to get there and just kind of suss this out and see what's happening?
I had no idea. It was just that when we were landing in Athens, it was like, Jason, pay attention. Something is happening here. And I paid attention. You know, I call it, in my work, I call it heat, right? If I'm making a good photograph or if I'm directing a scene and I feel this heat in my body, and it's almost, for lack of a better, excuse the cliche, but it's almost as if Tinkerbell comes across the viewfinder, not literally, but it kind of sparkles. And I go, oh, I don't need to shoot another frame or I don't need to do another take of that scene. We have it. There's a deep intuition. And it's that same type of experience of the landing. And then the experience of actually being in Athens supported this. There were multiple things that I was like, there are things here that I want to learn about. There are ways of living. There's ways of being. There's ways of moving in space. There's ways of doing human that feel more aligned with the way that I want to be doing human. When I was 14 years old, I traveled to Italy, Austria, and Hungary with a large group of high schoolers. And that experience so completely blew my mind open to what was possible, not just for my life, but also there are so many different ways to do human. And so I went back to Virginia being like, oh, there's nothing wrong with what's going on here, but they're not doing human the way that I want to be doing human. Eventually, I want to go and live in these other places.
And I agree with you 100%. And that is sort of the driver behind a move like this, is just wanting to experience a different way of life. After spending, I spent 34 years on the radio, and that was a lot of hustle. The moment I got into the business, everything was taking a job. And then in my head, the way I worked was, okay, I'm going to be in this job for 2 years. And then when I'm done with it, I'm going to go to this market and I'm going to move up into here and I'm going to do this and I'm going to get this position and I'm going to make this kind of money. And so like everything for me from the moment I got into my career was basically hustle, hustle, hustle. I wanted to go somewhere where people don't operate like that. They really don't. Like Portugal is an amazing place for so many reasons, but the one for me that really stands out is just how people go about life here. I'm not gonna lie, there's some guys out there really hustling, but that type of attitude has not overtaken the entire society for sure. I mean, really, it is all about your job is your job, and you do your job so you can make enough money to pay your bills and keep a roof over your head. That's why you have a job. You have a job because you need to make money to feed your children. This sort of like sole focus on money, like we have in the U.S., it just does not exist here. I wanted to experience like that. What's it like to live in a society like that? And going back to what you said about being afraid to step on the plane, I was completely different. I wanted to freaking fly the plane. I was like, bitch, can we go? Like, I'm ready to go. How do we get in the air faster and get there quicker? Which is a very American thing, by the way. I don't know how to fly this plane, but I'll learn on the way. Like, again, another American thing is to actually learn how to fly the plane while it's in the air. That's very American. How are you feeling generally now? I mean, how long have you been in Athens?
I've been here for 7 or 8 months, but I have been coming consistently since 2022. So what that means is I would come for almost the entire length of the visa that I was allowed as a tourist. So 3 months at a time, I would stay with a friend, and then I would have to leave. So, it's tough to say how long have you been in Athens, because I would do almost 6 months out of the year in Athens from 2022 to 2025. So I really got to know the city. But that did not prevent any of the shock that happened once I actually became a resident, because I had to navigate the bureaucracy. I had to navigate companies in totally different ways. And also I became available as a friend, a potential friend, potential lover in a different way, because I was staying and I saw the shift there. And then of course my own psychology of having made that, made the jump shifted. So that's just kind of the context. I'm now 8 months in, so incredibly happy. Like there were definitely some rough months in between. I remember one phone call with you and your husband where you probably were like, do we need to get on a plane? Because Jason was in some dark spaces. And I was in some really dark spaces. And then things started to fall in line.
Yeah. And that's just part of it, right? You're going to get into some dark spaces, and you're going to have those days where there's a lot of self-doubt, and you think, oh man,
What did I do?
Bad where I was?
Yes.
But that's the thing. It wasn't bad. Like for me, it wasn't bad in California. I had a great life in California. It was fantastic. It just felt like, man, this is going to be something so interesting. And if I don't do it, when I get too old to even think about doing something like this, I'm going to regret not taking this chance when I had it. I will say, and I'm curious if you were similar. Anytime we go somewhere to visit, really just as tourists, and, we walk around, usually it's a city, and I'm just like, I will turn to my husband and I will say, when we move to Amsterdam, this is where we're going to live. And I'll usually point to some beautiful, like brownstone-like apartment or some sort of, riverside cottage or ultra-modern condominium, whatever. It just depends. Whatever's tripping my trigger on that particular trip. And my husband is a Capricorn. So, it's hard for him to separate what is a joke and what is real. Like in the last 18 years, I have attempted to move him to about 1,003 places. And that makes him very nervous every single time. But before choosing Portugal, we were very curious about Italy simply because of my heritage, because of my mother and my father coming from Italy. And they moved to the U.S. Right after World War II when Italy was torn up. And there were no opportunities anymore. So really, like their choices were few. Anytime that we went to Italy, and I don't have to tell everybody how absolutely amazing and beautiful Italy is. Everything from food to the terrain to everything. It's an amazing place. But I can't remember visiting one time where I had that feeling, where we were walking around Rome, and I'm like, when we move to Rome, we're going to live here, and like point to the Colosseum or something. Like I never got that feeling. Like first time visiting Lisbon, I got to visit it on my own on a solo trip. First day, I was just like, I don't get it. I don't understand what's going on in this city. I don't understand these people. This language doesn't even sound like, everybody told me it sounds like Spanish, but really it sounds like Russian. Like, I don't understand what's going on here. I'm not catching the vibe. 24 hours later, after like just running around, doing things, talking to people, it was like flicking a light switch. And then I was like, I'm FaceTiming with Jeremy. I'm like, so I've already found 3 neighborhoods that I think we need to consider. Anyway, there you have it. It really does come down to that feeling. Anytime someone asks me, though, like, what's the first step if you want to get on the pathway to moving to a new country? And I say, well, just simply visit. Just go and see what that place is like, and then figure it out from there. But also be very mindful of what you're feeling while you're there and then when you're leaving. I think that is probably the most important, the feeling that you need when you're wanting to make a move like this.
Well, I wanted to say bravo to my friend Fernando for a second, because that description earlier of I loved my life in California, and yet I had the courage to leave, because I think that this is actually extremely difficult for a lot of people to do, especially when they're not moving away from something they're trying to get away from. And I'm in a similar place right now with something that's going on in my work. I'm established in quotes in, a few different spaces, areas of professional spaces. And I had to have a conversation with executive producers about a project that I've been working on for a very long time, that the frame that we've been putting around this project, it feels like a cage instead of it being something expansive. And 4:30 in the morning, I'm writing this email because I woke up from this dream, this horrible dream, and realized I was like, if I've moved myself halfway across the world to do this, this, and this, why am I going to continue to allow this other thing to compress me down? That's not why I moved. I moved for a different type of expansion, not compression. I could have just stayed where I was if I was going to do that. And it was a terrifying email to send, because they could walk away from the project, a whole bunch of things. The response was incredible. They were like, This sounds exactly like what you need to do with the project. And I wouldn't be surprised if the ice that's been on certain parts of it thaws immediately, that things begin to flow in ways that they haven't been flowing, because this was what I needed to do. And I say this only because it's the same, it's the same thing about making a move like this. It takes a certain type of courage within oneself to go, I'm going to start at the bottom of something in the middle of my life. I'm going to start at the bottom of something after I've climbed all these mountains, and it's really comfortable at the tops of those mountains. But also, it got kind of boring. It got expected. It got all these things that were just not that interesting anymore.
Didn't you feel like, I mean, I know for me, I felt like who I was trying to become, I had become that person. And then I kept thinking while we were going through this move or preparing for this move, I'm like, okay, you've been trying to become the person you are right now with the house and the job and the tenure of this area, all of it. And you are now saying, oh, you know what? I really don't want this after all. I'm going to do something completely different. Like, I honestly thought I was going insane for a minute while we were trying to put this all together. I'm like, you are the biggest idiot to walk the earth right now. This is all you've ever wanted. You have it. You have it here in your hands. You live it every single day. And now you're going to say, I just want to change it. I'm going to change it and do something completely different. And, as insane as I felt, I still feel like this is the best thing I've ever done in my life. I say this all the time. It's like, even if you achieve your dreams, we always dream more than one. We have millions of dreams, right? Why only make one dream happen? There's nothing wrong with making the next dream or numerous dreams all come true for yourself. Sometimes you get exactly what you want, and it's not what you expected. Or maybe it was what other people had expected from you, right? You fulfilled their dreams or their expectations of what your life should be. And sometimes you wake up and say, this isn't my life. When you have the opportunity, you have the chance to go and live your life exactly on your own terms and go ahead and fulfill what you had in mind for yourself. Maybe you didn't even have anything in mind for yourself because you were too busy listening to what other people were telling you that you should be and should do. So now here's your shot. Here's your chance to go and be exactly who you want and do exactly what you want. And I think that's kind of a good spot to leave this first podcast too, right? Don't you think?
I'm going to share one thing because I think it underlines it. I recently saw a clip of an Oscar speech Matthew McConaughey gave. And in the speech, he talks about...
All right. I love him.
He says something to the extent of somebody, when he was 15 years old, asked him who his hero was. And he said, give me a second, I got to think about it. Came back a couple of days later and said, okay, have you thought about it? And he said, I'm paraphrasing, it's me 10 years from now. So 25. So at 25, the guy came back and said, all right, have you become your hero? And he goes, no, it's me 10 years from now. And he said,
okay,
I will never arrive at this person.
Yeah.
And it allows you to keep in a space, what does my soul need to do at this time? And that is a different thing every decade as you get more information about what does it mean to be human, or how I want to interact, or what are the most important things that I need to do to continue to grow. Which was why when I said, bravo to you for leaving the thing that you had in your hand that you had always wanted. Because the question was there more space to grow in there? Probably, maybe, but you wanted this different type of growth. And that took a lot.
I wanted a different kind of growth. And I wasn't getting that before. And thank you. And thank you for putting out there. And I appreciate your kind words about that too. I feel like this takes a bit of bravery to do this. So, props to you, because I know that this was also, this was definitely an exercise in bravery for you as well. I mean, this is, this is being up on a wire sometimes, for sure.
Best part is, if it fails, no one can take away the fact that you made the jump in the first part.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that's going to do it for the first episode of Bear Fur and Sparkles. All right, everyone. We'll see you for episode 2. Have a great day.